So let's just kind of get a track of this whole line and where the strongest winds are, and get some cities that are going to be impacted by this as the storm continues to move through. Again, this isn't just a tornado threat for us. This is a wind threat moving to the northeast here. So let me time it out. Again, storms can change speed and change time, but this gives us a rough idea. 8:10 in Tipton, 8:18 in Sedalia, Smithton 8:24, Otterville 8:28, Jamestown 8:45, Pilot Grove 8:55, and Columbia at 9:07 if it holds together. So again, we've seen multiple severe thunderstorm warnings issued here over the last couple of minutes. All of these are going to be going for a good amount of time. We also have a tornado warning that is in effect for southern Pettis County, which is why we are on the air. That tornado warning is going to go until 8:15. So that's a little less than 10 more minutes as we continue to watch these severe thunderstorms moving through the region. Let me toss things back over to meteorologist Kesley Kobielusz, who is in our First Alert Weather Center. Kesley.
Yeah, hi Matt. I'm just kind of getting, the bearings of what else can we expect, now that we're talking about these storms that are just starting to push their way into mid-Missouri, and now we're kind of, where are they going to go from here? So right now I do have pulled up that damaging wind potential, and, we kind of tend to focus a lot on those tornado warnings, on those tornado damage potentials, but we've talked about it a little bit, but straight line winds can do just as much damage, if not more, as a tornado, because within tornadoes, it's a fairly localized area, but when you get these straight line winds out of this system, that can do damage across a fairly widespread area too. And so that's definitely going to be something that we're watching. Still not getting too many reports for mid-Missouri so far. Watching those warnings for wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. We've gotten a couple of samples of wind gusts close to 55 miles per hour, and so I think that at the surface they're likely getting closer to that 60 mile per hour. So if I go ahead and switch this, we'll go to the hail potential. Still not much of a hail potential. We're still tracking some of those systems that are out closer to kind of eastern Kansas within that secondary line that's kind of forming on the backside of this system to be more of a hail threat. And if we go ahead and switch it to the tornado potential, still kind of highlighting that area that we have that active tornado warning in now. Turn the lightning off and kind of get a little bit more of a closer look of what's actually happening with these storms. This storm is kind of moving through Pettis County. You kind of notice at the beginning of this loop, you can really see that very pronounced swirl. And it's starting to kind of lessen a little bit, starting to become a little bit more broad. That's going to be good news for us because it means that the general circulation of this storm is continuing to weaken, and so that means that it's likely not going to be as strong as it is. Kind of filtering through reports here. We're getting a report from
Kesley,
Versailles for pea-sized hail at 135 south. Yeah, Matt?
We actually do have a report of some damage in Benton County. This damage is actually from our very own meteorologist, Micah Stevens, former meteorologist, I should say, 1 to 2 miles north of Lincoln on US 65. It looks like there is some damage out in the middle of a roadway. I can see with this picture, it looks like some rocking chairs that have been pushed in, potentially from a tornado, as there was a tornado-warned storm in Benton County. That's outside of our viewing area, just to the south of Cole Camp, but that is something that we want to keep in mind as we continue to monitor these storms that are moving through the region.
Yeah, it just kind of shows you the potential of what these storms could be too, even if we're not seeing the strongest of the storms right now, but they are capable of doing more, and we have seen more over this afternoon, over this evening, and I think we'll likely continue to see some of this too.
Yeah, and I want to note that that tornado warning does continue until 8:15. Multiple severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect continuing until 8:45 or so. So we continue to monitor all the different aspects of this here, and we're seeing the expansion of some of the watches starting to come into the region here shortly. So we are going to be monitoring that. Kesley, if you could grab that photo from Micah and get it to our producers.
Yes.
They are asking for it. So this is the current watches as we stand right now. The National Weather Service is going to be expanding these very, very shortly for us. So that's something we are monitoring. Let's get back to where we have the tornado warning, which is in Pettis County. And with that, we are monitoring this again to the southeast of Sedalia. Let me get the latest storm relative velocity. And what I'm seeing here looks like a lot of good news to me. With that, we are seeing very broad rotation here. So we're coming up on about 4 minutes until this tornado warning is about to expire. Again, we're looking kind of within the whole line here for some areas. It looks like there continues to be some broad rotation here in eastern Morgan County as well. Not enough to be tornado warned at this moment, but enough that we're keeping an eye on it. Weathercaster Thomas Schwint is here with us as well, monitoring these storms. Thomas, there's a lot of storms on the radar right now. What are you seeing?
Well, the biggest thing that we're seeing right now is, first of all, like you said, that good news with that tornado-warned storm in Pettis County. It looks like that rotation is much broader. So while we're overall seeing still that rotation, and we definitely still want to be in our safe place, that's a good idea. The good news is we don't think anything's down at this time. But still, this could tighten up at any moment. It's important to be in that safe place. That's lowest level, sturdy building, interior room. Make sure that you're doing that still. The other thing that we're seeing is, like you said, in Morgan County, near Barnett, heading towards High Point, we do have this area that's starting to become of more interest. The velocity shows it well. Those reds and greens are starting to come together a little better. It doesn't look concerning enough for a tornado warning or I even think any immediate action as a result of the rotation, but it is something to keep an eye on. We do have an environment that is sufficient for the possibility of this tightening up and becoming more of a concern in a pretty short period of time.
And to our digital folks, I know we're on Facebook Live. There are some people in the comments talking about the audio. If we can address that, that would be fantastic. I'm kind of monitoring some of the reports here. Someone's asking if we're okay, and we are okay, just getting some audio issues kind of fixed and managed here. So we are continuing to monitor these storms that are moving through central Missouri right now. And what we're continuing to monitor as these storms move through is that these storms are going to have the potential to produce all forms of severe weather that we're monitoring. It looks like actually we took the Facebook Live down to address those issues. So we're going to get that back up. Of course, don't rely on social media as your only place to get weather information. You want the KOMU8 First Alert weather app. You want to know a weather radio, something that's independent of internet and technology. Sometimes those break as well. So then you want the internet and the technology. You want all those different ways to get information. The sirens are a third, fourth level kind of way of information. Remember, sirens sound for different criteria in nearly every single county. It's different. So that's something that we really want to monitor and just keep in mind and remember. Meteorologist Kesley Kobielusz in the Weather Center as we continue our coverage right now. Kesley.
Yeah, it looks like still kind of just monitoring those generalized storms that we've been talking about, seeing if they're we know that they are working on adding more counties to the severe watches, or to the tornado watches and the severe thunderstorm watches that we've been seeing over this afternoon. And still looks like they're still deciding exactly where they want to keep those boundaries on. So they haven't released those yet. And it looks like our tornado warning just expired too. And so now we just have those severe thunderstorm warnings, Cooper, Montauk, Cole, Morgan, and Miller counties. Still really watching that potential for those strong gusty winds, upwards of 60 miles per hour. We do have a tornado possible tag on that severe storm, on that severe warned storm in Cole and Montauk County. But again, really watching those primary threats of the 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts that can do just as much damage as a small, brief tornado.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Kesley. We continue to monitor these storms moving through the region, and I'm looking through some of the questions I'm getting, and some people are asking if X city, whatever that city is, am I going to get hit by a tornado? And the answer to that is scientifically, it's just not possible for us to say with any kind of certainty that a city is or is not going to get hit by a tornado in these situations. As these storms form, they could produce tornadoes, so it's a possibility. It's something you need to be prepared for. You need to be monitoring for weather warnings. But just because one part of the region gets hit by a tornado does not mean you will, and that also means that just because it's not including you, it doesn't include others, and others aren't going to be impacted by these storms. So that's something that's really important to us. It's our storm mode promise to be here for the entire viewing region. I've got that photo in from Micah. Again, this was from Lincoln and Benton County, just south of our viewing area. Again, this was that rocking chair type thing pushed into the road here. Again, this from meteorologist Micah Stevens. And again, likely some damage in Benton County, just south of our viewing area that we continue to follow. If we could bring back first alert radar here. I've also gotten a lot of questions about Jefferson City and Columbia. And this line of storms, this line of wind, which is the big concern right now, is coming in those directions. It's moving at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. So I'm going to put a storm track on this just to kind of give us an idea of where this is headed. And as we watch this, here it is moving to the northeast. Russellville at 8:18, Boonville at 8:29, Wardsville at 8:40, Jefferson City at 8:44, 8:53 at Rockbridge State Park, Columbia 9 p.m., Fulton 9:20, Owensville at 9:32, and Avaz at 9:39. That's the potential for maybe 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts with these storms as they move into the region. And I want to show you that these storms also are very electric. They've got lots and lots of lightning, so they're very loud storms. So let me go through the current warnings for our area. And then what I'm going to do is I want us to continue coverage on our digital platforms. So you can join us right now on KOMU.com. There is live streaming on the page. You can join us on Facebook Live, and we'll be there. And we'll send you back to programming on KOMU 8 so we can get you back to the voice. As tornado warnings are issued or as events warrant, we're going to cut in and break into the voice, but I want to get you back there as soon as we can. Let me first, though, recap those severe thunderstorm warnings. Until 8:30, we've got a severe thunderstorm warning for Morgan and Miller County. This is going to go until 8:30. That is for 60 mile per hour winds and pretty small hail. And then I'm going to move my podium with me so that we can read this here. Severe thunderstorm warning for Cooper, Southern Howard, and Montauk County until 8:45. And then for Cole County, we have a severe thunderstorm warning. This would actually be for Cole and Montauk County until 9 p.m., 60 mile per hour winds, and there is some broad rotation associated with this. So I'm going to reposition myself. Let's look at the radar velocity here and just examine what we're watching. And what we're watching is within this, we could see these strong winds interact with each other, and they could start to rotate a little bit more. So that's something we're going to be watching. Additional warnings could be issued as we go through the rest of the evening and overnight hours. So we are going to continue to monitor the latest situation right here on Over the Air on KOMU 8. Let's go ahead and return folks to their regular programming, but let's continue our live coverage on the stream. On behalf of meteorologist Kesley, Kobielusz, weathercaster Thomas Schwent, I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Beckwith. We will be back with more updates as events warrant. All right, everyone, thank you for being with us. If you're joining us on the streaming app or on Facebook, we are continuing our live coverage as severe thunderstorms continue to move through the region at this point in time. I'm here with meteorologist Kesley Kobielusz and meteorologist Thomas Schwent, getting a lot of reports across the region of Columbia, folks asking about it, asking about the heavy rainfall, asking about the thunder, the lightning. These storms are relatively intense across the region right now, and we're seeing a lot of lightning associated with these storms as they continue to move through the region. So that's something we are following very closely here. Let me just show you the amount of lightning, and you can probably tell based on this where our strongest storms are right now. That's where we have these severe thunderstorm warnings in effect across the south and southeast parts of our viewing area. That's where we have that potential for 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. I want to kind of take you through the different warnings that we have in place across the region. So I'm going to switch over our first alert radar to the warnings only, so you can see. Looks like we're getting an update here on the severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Versailles, Eldon, St. Elizabeth, and Osage Beach. And what we're watching here is the potential for 60 mile per hour winds, nickel-size hail. This severe thunderstorm warning goes until 8:30. On the northern side of this, we have another severe thunderstorm warning. This one goes until 9 p.m., and this includes Jefferson City to Russellville to St. Thomas. I know some folks were asking about Russellville. Yeah, you're likely about to get some 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts moving in to the region. There's also some broad rotation associated with this, but really what we're watching here is these bright reds. Those are 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. I'm going to play through the wind speed of this, and that's about to move in within the next couple of minutes. Same thing in California, Tipton. Strong winds, 60 to 70 miles per hour, continue to move in. And then we have another severe thunderstorm warning in effect for parts of Cooper and Howard County. This severe thunderstorm warning is going to go until 8:45 p.m., and it is for the potential of 60 mile per hour winds. So that's what we're watching right now. We continue to monitor a lot. We're getting an update from the National Weather Service and the latest on radar analysis. We're here with team coverage. Meteorologist Kesley Kobielusz is in the First Alert Weather Center. Kesley, what's the latest?
Right now, just kind of getting a look at, I've been just kind of clicking around with some of actually the rainfall rates. Because within these very dark reds and oranges, we're getting pretty decent rainfall rates out of this system too. So let me go ahead and just kind of put some of those on there for you. Let's go to accumulation rates. We'll zoom in a little bit, and we'll kind of go just south.
And if we could get Max one up in the box so that folks can see what she's talking about, please.
Yeah, so it looks like just to the southwest of California, Missouri, we're seeing rainfall rates of over 3 inches per hour. And so this is, enough to kind of give us some of those localized flash flooding issues too. It looks like within that last update, it's looking a little bit less. So take these rainfall rates with a little bit of, with a grain of salt. Because these are rainfall or radar estimated, and so they're not always the most exact, but it definitely gives us a pretty good idea of what we're looking for in terms of where we're seeing the heaviest rain. It kind of looks like within those darkest reds, we're getting between 2.5 to 3 inches of rain per hour, which, luckily these are not, or I guess these aren't super fast moving storms, and so any kind of rainfall that's going to be over there for an extended amount of time, that's where we're likely going to see some swollen creeks. We will see some swollen rivers. The National Weather Service out of Springfield is asking for anyone in Morgan and Miller counties if they have any reports of wind or hail damage. So if you have any of those reports, you can send them to us. You can send them to the news email. You can DM Matt and I. More so me, I kind of have a little bit more access to the internet right now. As Matt's kind of taking the forefront of kind of driving our radar analysis. But if you can go ahead and send those to us, we can go ahead and ship those off to the National Weather Service, and that will help them aid in not only producing new warnings later on in the evening, but it's also going to help them see what actually happened and continue to help their verifying skills within these storms too. Looks like we're getting reports of lots of ponding on Highway 65 in Sedalia. Again, that's kind of right where that heavier rain band of rainfall moved through earlier. That's where that tornado warning was earlier too. I guess just south of Sedalia was where that tornado warning was. And we kind of look, let me zoom in a little bit closer to this kind of similar cell that just pushed through. It's the one that ended up producing that tornado warning. Go ahead and sample some of the rainfall rates within that one. It looks like they are starting to get a little bit lower, but we're still generally within some of those oranges and yellows even, seeing rainfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour. And so definitely something to keep in mind.
And Kesley, we have an update for you. A new tornado watch has just been issued. Now all of the KOMU8 viewing area formally included in this. This tornado watch is going to go until 3 a.m. And this is a convoluted kind of setup of our watches here that are currently in effect. Most of the region is under a tornado watch until 3 a.m. This will likely be expired before that point. I think our severe threat ends at the absolute latest at about 2 a.m. and potentially before that. And we will give you the all clear whenever that is. But that tornado watch is for Monroe, Audrain, Montgomery, Gasconade, Marys, Osage, Callaway, Audrain, Boone, Cole, Miller, Montauk, Morgan, and Camden County. Pettis and Saline County are until 9 p.m. Then there's a severe thunderstorm watch for Cooper, Howard, Randolph, Macon, and Sheraton. And what you're seeing here is kind of the effect of having multiple different weather service offices in play, and they're just kind of evaluating everything. Now, that threat here in our northern counties, it is a little bit lower. There has been some shower and thunderstorm activity. There's not as much energy there, so that is why that threat is a little bit lower. As we continue to monitor, what we're monitoring here is these thunderstorms. Strong winds moving in. I've gotten a few folks asking in the comments about California, Missouri. They're asking if California, Missouri is going to get hit. You are getting strong winds and heavy rainfall right now, but there is nothing tornadic right now. So we are continuing to monitor this. Again, that watch in effect for a large chunk of the KOMU8 viewing area at this moment. And we have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect. So this is an evolving situation. It's going to be several hours here of the potential of strong to severe storms that we are monitoring so closely as these storms continue to move through the region. So again, what we're watching is the potential for some strong winds here extending from right now what would be Cooper County down into Montauk County, into Cooper County, Cole County, Morgan, Miller, Marys of the KOMU8 viewing area at this moment. And we have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect. So this is an evolving situation. It's going to be several hours here of the potential of strong to severe storms that we are monitoring so closely as these storms continue to move through the region. So again, what we're watching is the potential for some strong winds here extending from right now what would be Cooper County down into Montauk County, into Cooper County, Cole County, Morgan, Miller, Marys, Camden County as well. And that's where we currently have this little cluster of severe thunderstorm warnings. And with those severe thunderstorm warnings, we are seeing the potential of 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. It looks like most of our warnings have dropped back down to 60, and they still have this tornado possible designation, which means that we are continuing to watch with this the potential for some spin, the potential for some rotation. So that's what we're watching. Again, there is no active tornado right now. There are no active tornado warnings right now, but there is some broad rotation across parts of Montauk County into southern Cole County, between Russellville and just to the north of California. We're monitoring it closely. We're going to continue to keep an eye on it. Weathercaster Thomas Schwint is here as we continue to follow these storms. Thomas, what's the latest that you're seeing across the region right now?
Well, the big news is that it looks like it's windy out there, especially within those severe thunderstorm warnings. There's what we call a rear inflow jet that sometimes you can see on radar that looks like it's starting to materialize. And essentially what that does is you'll notice on the radar, it looks like there's almost a bit of a bow that you'll notice that's stretching all the way from around Pettis County through Morgan County.
And Thomas, it is behind you, so you can point it out.
Oh, yes, of course. So we have this, what we'd call a bowing segment that's currently headed through around Tipton. And what we'll notice is that around the center, you'll notice this clearing that's going on. That's as a result of strong winds coming in from the back end, that cooler air, and that actually enhances your wind gusts. So that means that we could have particularly strong winds that are heading in the direction of like Booneville in particular. So we're seeing a lot of reason to believe that strong wind gusts in particular are a major threat. Other good news, it looks like rotation is pretty meager on these storms at this time. We're not seeing much of that concerning rotation we did when we started this wall-to-wall coverage, and that's overall good news. Hopefully we don't see those storms start to tighten up again. One of the reasons for that is that our atmospheric energy, especially in the lowest levels of the atmosphere, looks like it's a little on the meager side, a little on the low side. And so even though we have strong winds down at the low levels that are producing that spin, we don't have the atmospheric energy, the storm fuel near the surface that's able to capitalize on that. Other things I'm seeing on radar, the major thing is there's a heavy rain core near California, Missouri. That's in Montauk County. This heavy rain core, I think Kesley touched on it not too long ago, could have rainfall rates of as much as 2 to 3 inches per hour. So that could definitely result in a flood threat. Currently, with how moist our soils are, how rainy it's been lately, we're actually looking at a possibility of 2 inches or more starting to get into that flash flood territory overall if you get that within an hour. Matt, you have something?
Yeah, so we're getting some questions about if there's going to be another round. So I thought it'd be helpful to show you what we're expecting in terms of our precip cast. And I want to thank you all for continuing to be with us, whether you're watching us on YouTube, on Facebook Live, or on the KOMU streaming app. What we continue to monitor is these complexes of thunderstorms moving in now. There's also thunderstorms that have developed out in northwest Missouri and northeast Kansas. As we go through the next several hours, these thunderstorms are going to continue to move off to the east, and the leading edge is going to be the most concerning. So the most concerning storms are moving through right now. Now, these storms still have the potential to strengthen, but luckily the storm environment is messy. And I mean that as a good thing, as in it can reduce our severe potential. These storms are very clustered together and they're interacting with each other. Sometimes that can allow a storm to spin more quickly, but other times it can kind of limit your severe potential. And that's kind of what we're seeing at this exact moment. And if the directors could actually put the Columbia Regional Airport camera in a smaller box for me, we're actually seeing a lot of lightning from that. And we can hear the thunder here at the station. So this is around 11 p.m. The leading edge, the strongest of the storms, are going to be moving out of the viewing area at that point. I still think we're going to see some thunderstorms behind this, probably not as intense as what this model is indicating, but it's something that we're monitoring. It's something we'll be keeping an eye on. These will continue to move off to the east through 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and we'll still have to keep an eye on these storms out to the west. Now, ideally, these storms should be weakening, but they'll be worth monitoring, especially for the folks out towards Kansas City. I think they weaken by the time they get to us, no doubt. We'll have to see how strong they are for the Kansas City metro, but we could continue to see some scattered showers and thunderstorms through the morning hours. And then as we go to first alert radar, that is where we continue to see the thunderstorms moving through the region. Lots of lightning, as we've indicated here over the last little bit of time.
Airport.
I wanted the Columbia Regional Airport, please. Just to kind of give us an idea of how much lightning we're seeing. I could see it out of the corner of my eye here in one of the TV screens that we have. And as you just kind of stay focused on that, you're going to see some of that lightning in the distance there. So something we're monitoring. Again, we're continuing to get a lot of questions about these thunderstorms as they're moving in and what we'll continue to monitor. Someone's asking if we get the storm, will it lower the reflectivity? So the reflectivity, that's just the name of what this is. That's what we're seeing. It's the rain on the radar. It's the snow when it's the snow season on radar. It's what's being reflected back as that radar beam hits particles in the atmosphere. What I think you're asking is if these storms lower the potential of those storms later, and they absolutely do. I also want to touch on something Thomas talked about here and show you our weather analysis. This is instability and cap. So cap usually prevents thunderstorms from forming. The thunderstorms have already formed, so that's not much of an issue. So I'm going to actually take that off and just show you the instability right now. And as you look over mid-Missouri, we're kind of on the lower end of this spectrum. As opposed to southern Missouri, you can see it's those bright yellow, almost white color. That's where there's a lot more thunderstorm energy across the region. Weathercaster Thomas Schwent here to continue our coverage. Thomas, what you got?
Well, if we look just east of Russellville right now, so this is in Cole County, I'm just noticing we are starting to see, especially from the Kansas City radar, some rotation that looks like it's tightening up a little bit. So that's definitely something we'll want to monitor. So if you're near, I think that's pronounced Lohman, Jefferson City, Cedar City, there is an area that looks like it could be getting a little bit on the stronger side. It's not tornado warned or anything of that nature right now, but we do have a little bit of a spot of rotation that we're just monitoring, those reds and greens that are next to each other. And so that's definitely something that we're going to continue to monitor, but just watch out on that. Keep an eye on the sky for a little bit. We'll keep you covered. We'll let you know if that gets upgraded to a tornado warning or anything, but just wanted to give a heads up on that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Thomas. I appreciate that update. Again, no warnings right now for the tornado threat. What we are continuing to watch is the severe thunderstorm potential. So let me get you the latest on these two warnings. The severe thunderstorm warning for Montauk and Cole County, this goes until 9 p.m. I'm going to move this out of the way here so that we can see it. This is for 60-mile-per-hour winds, and there's still that broad rotation. It has that tornado possible tag, meaning that there is some rotation associated with this storm. What we're continuing to watch in Cooper and Howard County, this is a severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 8:45. And with this, we are watching the potential for nickel-size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. Really, the hail threat is just not with us today. What we're watching is a damaging wind threat unfolding across much of the region, favorably most so in southern Missouri. And that's kind of been the area, the environment that we've been watching for all of this. And as these thunderstorms continue to develop, we continue to see a lot of lightning. If we want to pull up that camera here, and we can just leave it like this as we kind of continue here for the next couple of minutes. The hail potential virtually non-existent across much of the region. And then the wind potential, again, that's a little bit, or in fact, that's actually much more significant. The tornado potential, lower. So that's how this is evolving right now and what we're continuing to monitor at this exact moment. Again, let's go to the latest and kind of look at all the radars here. And I'm going to turn on the loop. Lots of lightning associated with these thunderstorms as they continue to move through the region. The most intense storms are across southern Missouri at this exact moment. And that's what we continue to monitor. Here is just kind of the view of these in mid-Missouri. I also want to point out we've got severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings in northwest Missouri. So let's go ahead and take a look at those. And I'm just going to glance here at the Facebook comments to see if anyone's watching. Someone asked if we're not going to see tornadoes. That is not what we're saying. That threat is just low right now, and there are currently no warnings. It's still a possibility. It's just a lower threat at this exact moment, and that's going to continue to be a lower threat. It's still certainly possible. Some folks asking about Hallsville, thunderstorms continuing to lift to the northeast. That's where we have the potential for some 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts out of this. As I put on the animation here, this little complex is what we're monitoring the most closely right now for 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. Continuing to scroll through here. Someone said, if I take my dogs out, what's the chance I get struck by lightning? Well, I can tell you how you can tell, and I tell kids this when I do school visits. I visit a lot of third grade classrooms all across mid-Missouri, and the answer is that we're born with our natural lightning detectors. And it's not what you think they are. It's not our eyes, it's our ears. And the rule of thumb is that if you can hear thunder, you're close enough to get struck by lightning. If you're just talking about seeing lightning, in the summertime, you sometimes see lightning from nearly 100 miles away. A lot of people call that heat lightning because of the heat. That's not what it is. It does come from a place of existence because we usually see it on those really hot, humid summer days, but it's really just lightning in the distance. And that is not an indication of potentially being struck or not. If you can hear the thunder, you're close enough to get struck by lightning. As we continue to monitor this, some folks reporting some of the lights blinking a little bit across town and across parts of the region. We are going to be monitoring power outages for you. And just so everyone knows, at 8:50, we're going to wrap up our coverage. If we can ask our digital folks, it would be great if we could keep the stream up in that 10-minute time and maybe just set on a sky cam. I know folks might hear some mic checks, but I think that might be a really good strategy here. If they think it's best to end the live stream, we can do that as well. Just let me know so I can advise everyone. What we're watching is this complex of thunderstorms continuing to lift to the northeast. 60-mile-per-hour winds the main threat, but as Thomas mentioned, there was some broad rotation sitting here. This is now crossing in, getting closer to the LSX radar, and this remains pretty broad here. St. Barton's to the north of Millbrook, to the east of Lowman, to the southwest of Jefferson City, to the southwest of Cole Junction. That's what we're monitoring here across the region. But I want to switch this back over to the velocity image, and you can see some of the stronger winds associated with all of this as well. Here is the latest track across the region, and these storms are moving at about 35, 40 miles per hour. So I want to give you the latest track here. I'm going to track the most intense rain, the most intense lightning, and the most intense wind speeds. This is going to be near Jefferson City at 8:43, Columbia 8:53, New Bloomfield at 8:58, St. Aubert at 9:12, Fulton at 9:17, Centralia at 9:26, Gasconade at 9:37, Herman at 9:49, Paris at 9:57, New Haven at 10:02, and Warrenton at 10:19. So that's something we are continuing to monitor. And as we are continuing to watch these thunderstorms, they're going to be lifting to the northeast for those 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts. And I do want to let you know that when we do take that 10-minute break to reset for KOMU 8 News at 9 on our CW station, you can watch us on TV, of course, but they're going to keep these live streams up, and we'll just kind of sit on a sky camera while we do that. You may hear some behind-the-scenes microphone checks, that kind of thing. But what we'll be doing is we'll be gearing up for a newscast with the latest information. Let's go to Kesley Kobielusz in the First Alert Weather Center monitoring these storms. Kesley, have we gotten any new reports coming in? Anything on power outages across the region?
Yeah, so I was just looking at the power outage map. Talked a little bit earlier about Macon County, and there were about 1,000 people without power earlier. That is now just down to 15 households without power. And so power is returning to Macon County. But if we take a look at some of those stronger storms that we've seen recently, it now looks like Benton County has the most power outages, not necessarily in our coverage area, just outside of it, just to the south of Pettis County. Pettis County has about 800 people without power. Looks like Morgan County, about 100 customers without power. And Saline County looks like we have about 61 people without power. And besides that, it looks like most of us not seeing too much in terms of power outages on the power outage map. And I've kind of been watching the Facebook comments, and there's a lot of people asking about if there's a warning for Columbia or not. And the National Weather Service in St. Louis just said that they are going to issue a downstream warning for Boone, Cole, and Osage County for the wind threat with that central Missouri storm. So if you're watching the Facebook Live and you've been asking about Columbia, we were not under any kind of warnings for Columbia proper or Boone County, but now it looks like they are going to go ahead and issue a warning that will likely include Columbia in Boone County because of that potential for some fairly strong winds too that we should be seeing. The strongest of the storms here within the next few minutes, I think by about 8:50 or so, we should see some of the heavier rainfalls rates start to make their way into Columbia too, along with some of those stronger wind gusts.
Kesley, if nothing else, we are seeing thunder, a lot of lightning, and some heavy rain because I can hear it on the roof of the station right here. We're continuing to monitor these storms that are moving into the northeast. We will be watching as that severe thunderstorm warning gets issued. There is discussion of issuing a tornado warning, but that is to the outside of our viewing area. We'll go ahead and switch this to the warnings and see where this actually popped up. That's to the southeast of Rolla. And if you're curious about the city, I'll zoom in and let some of these pop up. I'm not going to, Potosi, I can say that one, to the south of Potosi here is where that is. That's well outside of the viewing area. It is not a concern for us. We also said we were going to look at these storms in northwest Missouri and see what they're doing. They're going to be moving into an environment that's a little more worked over, but from Kansas City to St. Louis, we've got a line of severe thunderstorms capable of 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts and potentially an embedded tornado or two. So we'll see if that weakens by the time it gets to us. In theory, it should, but that's not always how it plays out. Again, we have lower instability the further north we go. So if the environment has been touched by thunderstorms, that threat is going to be on the lower side. I did have someone ask why we're going to stop at 9:50-ish, and that's just going to give us a chance to reset for our 9 o'clock newscast. The stream is going to be up, and of course, if there are warnings that need attention, we are still going to come back earlier and talk about those. So no need for alarm. The stream's still going. The stream that you're watching on right now, whether that's on the KOMU8 First Alert Weather app, Facebook, the KOMU8 News app, the YouTube stream, it's all going to be continuing. So no need for alarm there. You don't need to change the channel. It's just going to give us an opportunity here to reset and get all the pieces in place for our 9 o'clock newscast. So we'll switch over from continuous weather coverage and do our normal 9 p.m. Of course, we'll have regular weather coverage during that, and if events warrant, we'll go all weather again. As we continue to see these storms lifting to the north and east, what we're watching here is, again, that potential for 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts, also some pretty heavy rain. It looks like, has the National Weather Service decided, is the extension of the warning what we've seen into Callaway County, Kesley, or are we expecting more?
It doesn't look like they have, I don't think they've issued that warning yet.
So we do have a newish severe
drawing
thunderstorm warning that is still in effect. This is going to go until 9:45 for parts of Callaway County, from Ashland all the way down to Fulton, to St. Aubert, to Lynn, to Freeburg. And that is, again, going to go until 9:45. So that's a pretty long-lived severe thunderstorm warning that we're watching here. And what we're watching with that is, again, the same thing that we're watching with all of these storms, that potential for 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. This storm is moving to the northeast. It's picking up speed a little bit, closer to 50 miles per hour. So let's go ahead and get an updated track of this. Again, we're just going to track the leading edge here. And the timeline of this, the strongest winds of 60, 70 miles per hour are going to be near Holt Summit at 850, Lake Mikeytown 852, Bonnets Mill at 858, Lynn at 905, Fulton 909, Chamois 915, Calwood 917, Rhineland 933, Herman 939, and Montgomery City at 943. So that's what we're continuing to monitor right now, and what we're going to be continuing to monitor as we go through the next several hours. Also of note, quite a few flash flood warnings have been issued on the backside of this. We've got some down towards Springfield, just to the southwest of our viewing area, to the northwest of our viewing area. There have been some pretty heavy pockets of rain. Kesley, you have some radar estimated rainfall totals up.
Yeah, I do have those radar estimated rainfall totals pull up. I'll go ahead and kind of zoom into mid-Missouri first, just to kind of get a little bit of a feel of what we've seen here so far. I've been reading the Facebook comments, and I know people have been asking about how much rain we're going to see, if we're going to see the potential for some flash flooding concerns, and so definitely want to go ahead and give you a quick update on those. So if we zoom in, some of those higher amounts, also take these radar estimated rainfall rates with a little bit of a grain of salt too, just because they're not always the most accurate, but they definitely do give us a pretty good idea of at least a starting point of where we are in terms of how much rain we've seen. I'll probably go ahead and take a closer look at some more of those official radar or official measurement sites here once we stop the stream and we just kind of enter into that phase where we're kind of waiting for our 9 o'clock show. It looks like we're seeing an accumulation of around 2 inches, rainfall totals of around 2 inches, just to kind of between Gravois Mill and Versailles. So some higher reflectivity rates kind of within there too. As we go ahead and zoom outside of mid-Missouri, where we're seeing more of those flood warnings that have been kind of going into effect, some of these darker oranges, darker reds. We're getting a rainfall reading of just over 5 inches, again. That looks like Vernon and Bates counties too. It's where we saw some of the stronger storms kind of move through before they pushed into Pettis County. It was that same cell that kind of brought us our initial tornado warning, which is why we initially cut into coverage. But now looking back, I think most of the region has probably picked up about 1.5 to 2 inches on some of those stronger amounts. I'll go ahead and start pulling up some of those official measurement sites, and I can start reading off some of those too.
And we'll get to those at right about 9 o'clock when we start KOMU 8 News at 9 with team coverage. We're going to wrap up here shortly. Thomas, do you have anything to add that's imminent that you're seeing on the radar at this moment?
No, the good news is there's not much to add at all. The good news is really that we're just seeing that strong wind core, if you will, that's heading in the general direction of Ashland, Holtz Summit, Westphalia, et cetera, into Osage and Callaway counties with that downstream severe thunderstorm warning. The big thing is just that severe thunderstorm warning expires around 9:45 p.m. So by then, this arc should be through the current warned areas and will probably be into Montgomery and Gasconade counties by then.
Yeah, and I want to answer a few questions that have popped up here that we are monitoring. And what we're monitoring is, first, a question asking about the extension of the watch. It's because of these storms coming out of northwest Missouri that we're going to be monitoring. I expect those will probably weaken as they move into an environment that is a little more worked over. Some folks are asking if we are in the clear. And at this moment, the severe threat continues for all of mid-Missouri. That does not mean that everyone is under a severe alert at this time, but everyone still has the potential to see severe weather this evening. I will explicitly give the all clear on social media in a separate post when we are able to do that. We are still hours away from doing that. Some folks asking what to do if they live on the second floor of an apartment building. You want to get as low as possible. So ideally, a basement is the best course of action if there were to be a tornado warning issued. And I want to be clear, there are currently no tornado warnings in effect. But you want to get to the most interior room possible and as low as possible. So as low as possible is step 1. As interior as possible is step 2. Some folks are asking if, are talking about the wind being strong. Yes, it certainly is. Are we expecting hail? The hail threat has been relatively low, so that has been good news. It is mainly a damaging wind threat, potentially a tornado or two still possible. At this exact moment, we are going to take a pause. You are still going to see the Columbia Regional Airport camera on the live stream here. If you're watching us through any of our apps, any of our platforms, through YouTube, through Facebook, and we are going to prepare for our 9 o'clock newscast, and we will see you there. Thank you for joining us on behalf of meteorologist Kesley, Kobielusz, weathercaster Thomas Schwendt. We will see you on KOMU 8 News at 9 in just a few moments.